NIST CSF 2.0. It's big, it's important, and it's finally here. We've made videos about what it is, how it's different from CSF 1.1, and even how those differences work in the real world. But before you consider implementing CSF 2.0 for your organization, you probably have a question that's just as important on your mind, which very simply put is why? Why should I get NIST CSF 2.0 compliant? What are the upsides? What are the advantages? Well, we're here to answer just that. And to help us, we're going to recruit some experts. Say hello to Steve, the Director of Innovation at Prescient Security. He'll step in during the video to help us out with some things that might need more explanation. Let's start a quick primer on what CSF 2.0 is. CSF 2.0 is a resource that helps organizations of all sizes navigate their cybersecurity efforts. It provides guidance to private, government, and other organizations on how to understand, assess, prioritize, and communicate your cybersecurity risks. Implementing CSF 2.0 is also a way of communicating to the rest of the world that you take cybersecurity seriously. An important signal given the severe negative consequences that a lack of good cybersecurity practices can lead to. CSF was originally built for operators of critical infrastructure, but found traction in a variety of industries, ranging from small businesses, governments, and academia. This was a welcome development for NIST. More people taking cybersecurity seriously means fewer attacks. But the language in the original CSF was a little restrictive, seeing as it had been built for industries like the energy sector, manufacturing, and healthcare. So, in CSF 2.0, NIST decided to expand the scope of the framework beyond just operators of critical infrastructure for a much wider audience. To achieve this, NIST introduced a variety of tools to make implementation easier, like quick start guides, profiles, and updated informative references. Whenever considering any compliance framework, there's typically two basic advantages that shine through: the benefits of better security and the benefits that come from having better security. Here's Steve to explain a little bit more about that.
So from a security standpoint, I think one of the real benefits of looking at NIST CSF is that it gives you a framework to align your security tools and your processes and your operations so that you can see how it fits in an overall security framework. It's really designed to manage risk, and it's really designed to help with understanding where your gaps are so that you can address those gaps and you can address those risks. So from a straight security perspective, the advantage of doing something like a NIST CSF is that it helps you to reduce your cyber risk, your operational risk as a company. How does that help you as a business? One of the things that we're really seeing as an emerging trend in the compliance space is compliance as a business driver. In order to engage with certain kinds of clients to get through their due diligence processes, many organizations are doing some sort of compliance effort. So they're doing a SOC audit or they're doing an ISO audit. Because the NIST standards are sort of government and driven standards, and because this was like a critical infrastructure standard initially, if your target market is in that critical infrastructure space, all of them are going to have some requirements around complying with NIST standards like NIST CSF.
Now, with the basics out of the way, let's discuss the benefits and advantages of CSF 2.0. To make it easy to understand, let's discuss the advantages in line with the way that you'd experience the implementation of CSF 2.0. The first thing you need to get your hands on is the document, and that brings us to advantage number one: inexpensiveness. While you still need to spend some time and resources down the road as you're implementing CSF 2.0's controls, there is no barrier to entry, which makes it unique. Frameworks like SOC 2 and ISO 27001 are built by businesses, and businesses need to charge you for access to their assets. This could be by way of flat fees for the document or by membership costs for the larger organization, but both will cost several hundreds of dollars. This may not seem like a lot in the grand scheme of things, but it's the first advantage that NIST takes. Because everything in relation to NIST CSF, the document, implementation guidelines, informative references, and all other official support material are absolutely free to access. Once you get access to the CSF document, you will start going through it. And that brings us to advantage number two: additional clarity. CSF was originally a framework for operators of critical infrastructure, like we mentioned, but it ended up being so comprehensive and so easy to use that a bunch of other industries and sectors like schools and small businesses end up adopting it. CSF 2.0 doubled down on this in the new update, making the framework even more accessible to the masses. Here's Steve to explain what that means.
It was initially built for critical infrastructure providers it wasn't always immediately clear how this might apply to, say, a smaller company or a company that was in, maybe services and didn't have significant operational technology or didn't have significant infrastructure. Now, by having these profiles and having more guidance around how these things can be done, the idea of this is to make it much more clear how other people are doing this. What are some of the things that other people in my industry maybe are doing as they're looking at NIST CSF and how to implement it? So I think it's just kind of taking guidance that's been given a little bit here and a little bit there. It's consolidating that. It's giving it a much more robust sort of view, right? This is how you can do this. This is how NIST CSF applies to you. This is how you can implement it at various sizes, maturity levels, capabilities, organization types.
With NIST CSF 2.0, NIST walked the line between detailed but not too jargony, comprehensive but not too prescriptive, accessible but not at the cost of security. Once you start scoping and implementation, you will arrive at advantage number 3, flexibility. Unlike SOC 2, ISO 27001 and several other popular frameworks, CSF 2.0 allows you to implement the controls that are best suited for your organization without fear of failing a certification or attestation. This also means it is endlessly adaptive in scope. Need more security in a specific section because you operate in a high-risk environment? You have the freedom to pick up controls from CSF's older brother, 853, and start implementing those as well. CSF is also flexible enough to integrate with existing security processes within any organization and in any industry. And with community profiles at 2.0, you can learn what the best companies in your domain are doing, so you can hit the ground running. The fourth advantage is almost a given: better risk management and cybersecurity. CSF's core objective is to help organizations better manage their cybersecurity risks, reducing their overall attack surface. Cybersecurity risks are expanding constantly, and managing those risks is a continuous process. This is true regardless of whether your organization is just beginning its cybersecurity journey or whether it has been active for many years with a sophisticated, well-resourced cybersecurity team. CSF has been built with the intent of being a living document that constantly gets more comprehensive with time and provides guidance over a long period of time. Once you've finished implementing the appropriate CSF 2.0 controls for your business, you will want to tell people about it. And that brings us to the fifth and final advantage: more deals. Cybersecurity has now become table stakes for any sales conversation, and the growing popularity of CSF 2.0 has meant that it has quickly become one of the most popular security frameworks in America. CSF's government backing means that it is valued by both public and private organizations alike and can help you crack bigger and better deals for your organization. So, where do you go from here? Well, if you want to get started with CSF 2.0, there's 2 ways Sprinto can help. The first is a CSF 2.0 checklist that you can download from the link in the description, comment section in the top right corner. Now, this is a great way to get started with your compliance journey. But if you're watching this video, I suspect you're probably looking for something a little more. And that brings us to the second way we can help: compliance automation. Sprinto helps thousands of companies leverage compliance automation across several frameworks: NIST CSF, NIST 853, SOC 2, ISO 27001, and more, so that companies can get compliant faster, easier, and more inexpensively. Continuous monitoring via Sprinto's centralized dashboard means that you stay compliant too, all year round, not just during an audit cycle. To know more, visit sprinto.com or book a demo with our NIST experts using the link in the description below or the link in the top right corner now. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to leave in the comment section below. We'll get back to you as soon as possible.